Welcome back to Retro Rewire. In the hunt, JJ here, and we're at the Hard Up in Fukuya, Saitama, Japan. And this is becoming like almost like a daily vlog. But anyhow, let's go ahead right into the cookies and cream. 13,200 for the FZ1 3DO, and then Salamander Deluxe Pack Plus for the PS1. That's a great game. 10,000 for it, and then we have Soul Divide and Dragon Blaze, the combo pack. A little bit rare, this one, and it's 11,000 for the PS2, and that game's widely available for modern platforms. PS5 with the PS5 Fat with no disc drive for 42,800 yen and up to 66,000. Neo Geo CD, now KOF 99 on the far right, 55,000 yen. And that's definitely far lower than what I've seen in the past few months. And I definitely had to pick that one up, as I am actively collecting for the Neo Geo CD. Unfortunately, with the Sega Mega Drive titles, a lot of these sun faded on the spine, which is always an unfortunate thing. Here we have another Saikyo game. What is this? Sengoku Aces Volume 2 for 7,000 next to an Art of Fighting 3. Now, the big one here is the Xbox titles, which is Dinosaur Hunting, and that's a little bit of an expensive title, and that one was coming in at 6,000. We get the Fight Stick Neo 2 for 7,700 yen, and then a few AES games, but they're going to be some of the more common things. And then the Final Fight soundtrack. Look at this, 3,800 yen. That's a certified bad boy. The last time I saw that was at the Book Off Plus in Ueno. And I wonder if it's still there. I think it's about the similar price point. But yeah, this is becoming like almost like a daily vlog, just pumping these videos out. It's a great thing to have an extended time off and just kind of heading out to the game shops. But 22,000 for a Glacier White PSP. Then we got a Nintendo 64 there. And then they still have this glass case, which is pretty nice, with a few limited edition PS4s. And one of those was coming in at 50,000, which is kind of high. And what seems to be the price? 24,800 for the PS4 Pros. And then we got our Switch titles. Here we have Marvel vs. Capcom, 5,000 yen. Now, I feel like these titles may be less expensive on Amazon Japan, and you can get those brand new. So, and then across the street from this place is a Gale and then a Furuichi just down the way. But we have Super Mario 3D Collection there for 9,500 yen, which is the average asking price at the moment. I guess the game saw like a limited print run, and now it's going to be skyrocketing. I'm not sure. This is kind of a little interesting game coming in at 4,000 yen, some kind of robot fighting game. And next to it, now this is like part of the Simple series, and it kind of looks like Vulcan, but I'm not really familiar with this title, but kind of an interesting one at that. But the good old DS. Let's just keep making our way here. And then we have R-Type Tactics. I think, what was the subtitle to this? Operation Bitter Chocolate or something like that? Or maybe that was the sequel, but 4,500 yen. And then we have Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles, the remake, which I have a digital copy of this. And I still haven't beat it, but it looks amazing just by looking at the screenshots. And that's a game that I bought many, many years ago off of the PlayStation Network. And they also had a Gradius portable there. I kind of missed out on that one. But we have Dino Crisis 3. This one takes place in outer space on a big old ship. 3,200 yen. And that's one that I picked up last year. Kind of an interesting premise on that one. Then we have Blue Dragon, Armored Core 4. And, of course, the classic Final Fight, Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition at 2,000 yen. I wonder what the price on that is in North America. I definitely would like to pick up a copy, as I'm thinking to pick up a Series X. And then here we have a Ratchet and Clank. It's like a trilogy pack for 7,000 yen. I don't think I've seen this one before. Always nice to see new things on the PlayStation 3. And then we have Godzilla coming in at 4,500 yen. I do like that cover. And then Enchant Arm, which this one has like the Vanguard Demon in Demon Souls. They kind of reused it, but it started life in that game. And there's the security cameras watching my every move, your every move if you find yourself here. PlayStation Vita, not a whole lot on the Vita side. And then this, what the heck is this? Elmnag something? I don't know. I can't really read that, but I did see the sequel, which was on the PSP at the Hanyu Hard Off. And then we have Gradius 5 and a whole bunch of fighting games amongst some other stuff. And what do we have? Age of Empires 2, The Age of Kings. Kind of a neat little cover for that one. But yeah, this store is interesting in that they don't list any of their stuff on the Net Mall or the Hard Off online like shopping store, whatever. So the only way to really know is to call or to just head out here, and that's exactly what I did. And these shops, because they don't post anything online, sometimes you can get some pretty good deals, some decent deals. I was pretty happy with that KOF 99 pickup. Here we have Road Blaster. What the heck was this called in the States? It was released for the Sega CD. Maybe it was the same name, but we have Zero Divide, The Final Conflict. I have this, a great little fighting game. This one's coming in at 3,000 yen. And it's pretty smooth. If I remember correctly, it was like it performs at 60 frames per second. And then we have Irem Arcade Classics. I think this is one of the few Irem games that made its way to the Sega Saturn, and that's kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have seen more Irem games on the Sega Saturn. I wonder why the reason was for that. They pretty much just focused on Famicom, Super Famicom, and PS1. Here we have Clockwork Knight at 1,500 yen, and then The Mansion of Hidden Souls, which was also a Sega CD title. They got a few PlayStation 5 games, nothing really too stand out. Again, I wouldn't really focus my effort coming all the way out here for PS5 games. But again, across the street, they have a Geo and a Furuichi, as well as an arcade place down the way, which I should film at one point. Now, Crazy Climber. 2000, that one kind of had an interesting look. What is this, Sexy Parodius or Twinbee Deluxe Pack? And then Silent Hill for the PS1, 4,500 yen, and it does have the Obi card. You can see it right there. This is the vanilla release. I kind of do like the greatest hits version. What else do we have here? The good old PlayStation 1. But yeah, this place, I've been coming here, off and on throughout the years, and I think this is probably like my third or fourth time out here. And they kind of rearranged things a little bit, but 1,500 for Biohazard 3, which is below the average, 2,200 for Biohazard 2. But on the whole, the Biohazard games are on the rise, 1,800 there. So if you're looking to pick one of those up, now would be the time, because it's only going to be climbing. Street Fighter, the real battle on film, Dino Crisis 2, and another copy of 2, with one coming in at 1,000 yen. I have a copy of that that I purchased off of the PlayStation Network a couple years ago, and again, it's one that I haven't finished any of the Dino Crisis games, and I have all 3. Maybe I should get to it, but not a priority. Let's see. Let's go around the way. And we got a little showcase with all the loose cards, which they had quite a bit. But here we have Doki Doki Panic at 7,000 next to Zelda for 8,500 yen. And yeah, those are like definitely a lot more. I remember picking up Zelda for the disc system, and I paid $5 for it, or $5, 500 yen. And that was at the Sano outlet, or Sano Tochigi Hard Off, which is another one that doesn't list anything on their online store, and I should probably head out that way soon. But here we have Final Fantasy 3 for 2,000 yen. It is a bit mangy, a little dirty there, but that's not too bad of a price. And I was actually thinking about it, but I think I'm going to wait and try to find a cleaner copy. Here we have some Pokemon games, one coming in at 7,000 yen. And I think they also had a couple loose cards back there. What else do we have? Mickey's Magical Adventure 3 or whatever, 2,500 yen. And then we got some Superman for the old Famicom. I do like that blue cart. And then we have a Transformer Mystery of Convoy, 800 yen. I wonder if that one's any good. But then more Neo Geo CD games. We have Galaxy Fight for 4,000 yen. What else do we have? Power Spikes 2. World Heroes Perfect. I do like that one. The menu music bumps hard. What do we have? Real Bout Fatal Fury, 1,800 yen. I think that one might be less expensive at the book off in Akiba. KOF 98 for 3,000. That's not too bad. 97 there for 2,800, and they also had 96 for 1,800. But not a bad selection of Neo Geo CD games. This is the Samurai Spirits RPG. They had Part 4, Real Bout Special, so a pretty good selection of fighters there. And then we have Ryonoken for the PC Engine. This one does require the arcade card. And what else do we have here? They didn't have too many heavy hitters for the PC Engine. And then Funky Horror or something for the Mega CD. But yeah, it was great to see the selection there of Neo Geo CD games. And then what do we have here? We have some Rockman titles, Dragon Quest, Rockman 6 coming in at 11,000, and then 4 at 6,000, 3,800 for Kirby. That's not too bad. And what do we have here? Mega something. I do like that cover. Look at that. I'm going to have to look that one up. I do like those high fantasy and sorcery games. What is this? Kirby Pinball. What else do we have here? Good old DMG. Check out the cover to this by Tomy. Some footy game. I don't know. Maybe that one could be good. I do like that cover. Kind of reminds me like of the old school Peachy folders in a way. And then the Game Boy version of Donkey Kong Country Part 3, whatever. Unfortunately, the box was all smashed. But yeah, pretty good selection there of Famicom titles. They got Sonic Advance 2, and then we have Klonoa Moonlight Museum for 13,000. I got a loose card of that. 7,500 for Gradius 2. That's not bad. And then we have Contra for 30,000. That's a pricey one. A little bit sun faded too, unfortunately. And then just a bunch of loose cards there. And what else do we have here? We got Rockman X3 again, a little bit sun faded, 17,000. And then Shin Megami Tensei. I believe that one's just Megami Tensei. And then Puzzle Bobble, 3,300 yen. I wonder how the Super Famicom version fares. And that Might and Magic cover, that's also pretty cool. What else do we have? We have some Crash Bandicoot, 1,800 yen. That's Part 4. They also had Mario Sunshine there for 1,000 yen. And then Kingsfield, I believe that's Part 2 maybe the original for 6,000. And then Project Justice, that's going to be hitting the Switch soon. And then we have Altered Beast for 3,000 yen. Art of Fighting 3, 2,800, one of my personal favorites. And then look at this bad boy, Salamander Portable, 8,000 yen. I definitely had to pick that one up. That's one that I've been wanting for quite some time. And that's actually one of the better prices that I've seen. And it wasn't the greatest hits version, which I wouldn't have mind anyways. But Super Mario RPG, not too bad there. The condition and price. And then we have Goemon. Now this one, it was the last one, and it was released in 1996. So, PlayStation and Saturn definitely were out at the time. 1,500 for Donkey Kong. That was a pretty clean copy. And then 1,000 yen for Final Fantasy VI. And again, I'm going to be showing this one. Whenever I see it, I'll be showing it so we can just kind of track its rise to the top. Although that was the least expensive that I've seen for a while. And then we had Secret of Mana 3, which I have the Mana collection on the Switch. And I definitely need to give that one a chance. And we have Super Mario Kart for 500 yen. They had another copy down below, and that one was coming in at 1,800, as you can see here. So that's a pretty big difference, although the other one had a few notes. And then Thoroughbred Breeder, again, 500 yen. But I'm looking for the other version of that, because it has like this big, I don't know if it's an Appaloosa, but it's pretty cool cover on it. But yeah, not a bad selection. I mean, there's not going to be like a lot of heavy hitting stuff, and that's the thing about hard off, especially these hard offs. They could be a gamble, but the good thing about Fukuya, is Honjo's nearby, Fukuya's there, Kumagaya, and between those three cities, there's quite a bit of game stores to hit up, and not too far is Mayabashi and Takasaki, which is like a whole nother plethora of retro game or shops that sell retro games. So this could be the start of something. And then we have, what is this? Some Olympics type of game, 2000 by Konami. They usually have the license for that kind of stuff, or at least they did back then. So let's take a look at some junk hardware. We have a Dreamcast racing wheel, which is essential for Daytona USA on the old Dreamcast. A lot of Call of Duty games, sports games, and One Piece games. 8,500 for the GameCube in the box, which isn't too bad, I guess. 5,500 yen for the Sega Saturn. Now that one looks pretty clean, but it's console only, just like this one. And that's not too bad a condition. 8,500 for the Orange Spice. What else do we have in here? And, you know, Parasite Eve. Now, this one, I believe, does have limited English language, which is in the voice acting, if I remember correctly. And then Tekken 300 yen before sales tax. And again, or rather, this shop is not a tax-free shop, so just keep that in mind if you're planning to come out here. And then a 9,000 PS1 for 4,950. Unfortunately, this one was a little bit sun-faded, a little bit dirty, but it is in the box. And the 9,000 is a super reliable model. We got Nights into Dreams for 500 yen before the sales tax. That's not actually too bad. And then a few of these CG portraits of the Virtua Fighter cast. And what's this? The Sakura PS2 for 8,800 yen. And they had quite a few PlayStation 2s. What else do we have? Oh, this game for the 360, Fuel. And I believe, I don't know if it still holds the record, but it had like the biggest open world of any game at the time. And I have this, but I have the PS3 version. Kind of a neat little game. And I think, in a way, it kind of reminded me of MotorStorm. Although, you know, there were differences with the open world type of stuff. What do we have here? We got a silver GameCube controller. A little rough on the thumbstick, but 1650. That could probably be cleaned up. And we'll have another look at the junk section. But let's go ahead and go to the junk showcase. Here we have some handhelds, mostly Nintendo. The 3DS LL in the back, 11,000. And I want to say the pricing here, you know, is about average, which that's not actually a bad thing. A lot of those translucent Game Boy colors. And we got a PSP for 6,600. That's a 1,000 model. And then we got a Neo Geo Pocket Color next to, I believe that's just a standard Wonder Swan for 2,200 yen. Which isn't bad at all. And then we got these Raspberry Pi 2s. Kind of interesting to see those. And then just looking carefully through here. But let's just keep the show going here. And what do we have here? We got the Steam Deck, 82,500 yen. And this is the 1 terabyte model. But back into the junk section. And, you know, a lot of controllers, a lot of cables, power supplies. You know, you can dig in there and you might find like a rare controller. I think the most interesting find was not the Sega Saturn Stunner, but it's going to be the arcade stick for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, it has a little note on there. Something about the A and B buttons. But, you know, these, you know, you could pop that open and I'm sure it could be solved. But 3,300 yen, that's actually not too bad. But a little bit of a shorter video this time around. It was fun heading out here. And expect another video soon. We're just going to continue on with, well, I'll continue on with releasing these videos as much as I can. And I'll hopefully be in the States later in the month. But anyhow, until then, I will see you very, very soon. Ciao.
South side.